Whether it's from a broken relationship, a painful loss, or a difficult past, hurt is part of life. But no matter what you've been through, one thing remains true. God still has a hopeful future for you. For many years, even as a Christian, I believed that my life could never truly be good. I grew up in a home where love and affirmation were missing. My parents couldn't give me the security and emotional support I needed. I often felt invisible and rejected, and because of that, I started to believe that my future would always be second best, that I had been too damaged to walk in God's best for me. But that is exactly the lie the enemy wants us to believe. Satan wants you to stay stuck in your pain. He wants you to believe your situation is beyond repair, that God can no longer bring anything good out of it. But here is the truth. Pain does not have the final say. God does. God has the power to turn around even the most broken parts of your story. He heals shattered hearts and brings hope to hopeless situations. Matthew chapter 19 verse 26 says, "With man this is impossible, but with God all things are possible." Maybe today you're thinking, if only God had stepped in a few years ago, maybe something could have changed. But now, it's just too late. Let me encourage you. It is never too late for God. He is a master at restoring what has been lost. What seems beyond repair, He can rebuild. What seems dead, He can bring back to life. He can give you a future better than anything you could have imagined. Isaiah chapter 61 verse 7-8 says, "Instead of your shame you will receive a double portion, and instead of disgrace you will rejoice in your inheritance. You will inherit a double portion in your land, and everlasting joy will be yours." When I began to truly believe that, everything started to shift. God used His word to renew my thinking. Where I once felt rejected, I began to feel accepted. Where there had been sorrow, I found joy. Instead of staying stuck in my past, God began to use my story to help others heal from their pain too. Isaiah chapter 61 verse 1-3 tells us why Jesus came. To heal the brokenhearted. To proclaim freedom for the captives. To give beauty instead of ashes, joy instead of mourning, and a garment of praise instead of a spirit of despair. That's such a powerful image. The prison doors are already open. You don't have to stay trapped in emotional pain, rejection, grief or disappointment. You can trade your pain for the promises of God. But we do have a part to play. The most important thing you can do is this: spend time with God, read His Word. Talk to Him in prayer, sit quietly in His presence. Hebrews chapter 4 verse 12 tells us that the Word of God is alive and powerful. It penetrates even to the deepest parts of who we are. When we read and meditate on His Word, it has the power to transform us from the inside out. God can reach into the deepest wounds of your heart and bring healing and hope. But we must also choose to let go of things like bitterness, resentment, and self-pity. We cannot receive God's beauty if we are still holding on to ashes. For me, letting go of self-pity was one of the hardest things to do. I used it for years as a way to comfort myself when I felt low. But the Lord showed me that self-pity was actually a trap. It keeps us turned inward, focused on our own pain, when God is calling us to walk in compassion and freedom. Bitterness and resentment are also traps that keep us chained to the past. I used to think, someone needs to pay for what was done to me. That anger followed me into my marriage and affected the way I treated my husband and others around me. I had to make a choice. I had to let go of my anger. I had to trust that God would bring justice in His time and in His way. And I had to believe that He would bless me and redeem what had been broken. One of the most powerful decisions you can make is to change your attitude. Instead of focusing on what went wrong or what you lack, choose a heart of gratitude. Focus on what God is doing, on the blessings He has already given you. No matter what has happened in your life or where you are right now, remember this: pain does not have the final word. God does. He can restore what you've lost. He can bring something beautiful out of what was broken. Your next step. Take a moment. Make time for God. Read His Word. Pray. Invite Him to begin His healing work in your heart. It is not too late. With God, there is always hope, and He can still turn ashes into beauty.